Hi, I'm Francesca Anastasi. Imagine you're in a restaurant, a couple is sitting at the next table, and you overhear this conversation. From the moment I saw you, I knew you were the one. Marry me. I will treat you like a queen. Say yes. But we've only been dating for a couple weeks. Yes. I've heard this before, and this is moving too fast. Is there a sign here of an abusive relationship? Their relationship is just beginning, but let's step away from our couple for a moment. Let's talk about love. What is it? When you meet someone and you say to yourself, I'm in love, that wonderful, exhilarating feeling is an emotional reaction caused by chemicals in the brain. Technically, what people call love at first sight is really lust and attraction at first sight. And love has nothing to do with it. Did you know, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 50% of intimate relationships exhibit some form of abuse? When we think about domestic violence, we typically picture someone being beaten up. Same for intimate partner violence. But it's not always the case. As the founder of an organization in support of shelters for victims of abuse, I get asked to speak at fundraising events on a regular basis. Now, I want you to think about a time when you donated time or money to a charity. Why do you do it? A part of you wants to be a hero. You want to help, you want to make a difference. But what if the situation that your donation is supposed to fix is simply getting worse? What do you do? Well, about a year ago, I spoke at a fundraiser for a local shelter, and after accepting the donation, the representative of the shelter said, we will always need more beds, we will always need more shelters, and we will always need more money, because the problem is getting worse. What? How can that be? I thought to myself, with all the awareness today, how can things be getting worse? Why, despite everything we're doing, is intimate partner violence increasing? And more importantly, how do we turn this around? So what exactly is intimate partner violence? It is a pattern of behavior used by one partner to maintain power and control over the other in an intimate relationship. Yes, it's all about power and control. For the last 10 years, I've been running an annual global fundraising event to support local domestic violence shelters in hundreds of cities around the world. And it involves the work and participation of thousands of people every year. And now, to my complete shock, I was hearing that we were not making any real difference in lowering the statistics. Were we doing this for nothing? Well, of course not. Shelters are still necessary and continue to need our support. Lives are being saved every day because these shelters exist. But by the time a person gets into a shelter, the physical abuse has already occurred, and some never make it to a shelter. Sadly, they go straight to a cemetery. Intimate partner violence is increasing everywhere, and at a faster pace during COVID. Abuse does not discriminate, and when you look closer, when we all look closer, we can see the signs. And if we want to have a happy relationship with the one, we need to know what these signs are. So let's return to our couple. A year has gone by since their dinner date. Now imagine we go behind closed doors and like a fly on the wall, we hear this. She's on the phone. She's talking to a friend saying, oh, he loves me so much. Our home is full of gifts he's showered me with since when we started dating. Oh, that sounds great. I can't wait for you to meet him. And then she turns and looks at him and says, honey, My friend Angie's invited us to dinner. And he responds, we're not going anywhere. But Angie's my best friend. Well, I want you all to myself, okay? Well, in my research, I've seen one important pattern. In intimate partner violence, abuse, physical abuse is almost always preceded by emotional abuse. And when we see the signs, we can see the pattern. And if we can interrupt that pattern, we can prevent the physical abuse. And yes, there is emotional abuse happening in our couple. The warning signs here are the rushing into commitment, the marry me, you're the one, after only a few dates, and the exaggerated showering with gifts, known as love bombing, the isolation and control, not being allowed to spend time with friends and family. But we've only scratched the surface. Add to these controlling your behavior, threatening to leave or to commit suicide if you leave, and constantly criticizing what you do or wear or think. There are many more signs, most of which go unnoticed, unless you know what they are. When I first started my global fundraising event, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. I had no clue. Ironic, isn't it? Here I was trying to raise awareness for domestic violence, domestic abuse, and not being able to see it in my own life. I didn't know. I did not know that constantly walking on eggshells around my partner was a symptom of emotional abuse. And I didn't know that having to agree with everything he said because he would tolerate no less was emotional abuse. And I did not know that being made to feel like there was something very wrong with me because nothing I did would please him was emotional abuse. My partner would get angry, break things, and as his anger would increase, he would come closer and closer to me. He would corner me until I could feel his breath on my face, his hands on my shoulders, moving up to my neck, threatening me. And I'd ask myself, am I going to die? Is today the day is going to kill me? And you know what? The really sad thing is, I didn't care. I was so emotionally worn down that I simply did not care. But to the outside world, I had a great relationship. I was happy. Or so I had convinced myself and everyone else. One day, while all of this was happening, I managed to reconnect with an old friend. Over coffee, I confided in her, and I said, I dread going home after work. He lectures me, he accuses me of looking at other men, he blames me for everything bad that happens to him, and then makes me feel guilty about the things that I can't control. I feel like a loser. Nothing I do pleases him. And my friend looked deep into my eyes and in a low voice said, Francesca, don't you realize you are in an abusive relationship? No, it's not like that. He loves me. He's just under a lot of stress. Everything's fine. You know what? It's really me. But as much as I didn't want to admit it, in the days that followed, each time he did something, I could not ignore it. And my friend helped me open my eyes. She helped me see the signs. She broke the spell I was under. Had she not, I may not be here in front of you today. With help, I was able to get myself out safely. Not everyone is so lucky. Many others in similar situations never make it to a shelter and they end up in a morgue. My friend is a hero to me for helping me see the signs. She may have saved my life. Once you learn the signs, you will see that they're all around you. They may even be part of your own life. Understand the signs of emotional abuse for what they are. Huge, flashing warning signals. When you know the signs, you can help somebody. You can be a hero in someone else's life, or perhaps even your own. So don't wait until someone has to tell you what has become obvious to everyone but you. Don't wait until you sink so low that you don't care about yourself anymore. See the signs. Take 5 minutes a week during one of your breaks to educate yourself on the signs of emotional abuse. Break the pattern. If you are in an emotionally abusive relationship, right now, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline for guidance, and do it today. Be a hero. If you know someone is in an abusive situation, gently help them recognize what is going on. Be supportive, like my friend. Be there for them. I had given up on the idea that truly happy relationships existed, but they do. In fact, I am now in the most loving and kind relationship, the kinds that we all dream about. In preparation for this talk, I asked my husband what he thought was the secret of our happiness. He did not know that I had already compiled my own list. Interestingly, he listed the same 3 things as on my list, and in the same order. So how do we know we are in a good relationship? Here are the top 3 things to look for in a healthy, loving relationship. 1, compatibility. And this one seems really obvious, but it's very important that you share the same values, that you have very similar goals, and that you don't really have to be identical, but you do need to be balanced, and you need to inspire each other, to learn from each other, and to also learn together, working on your own personal growth and complement each other, to be open-minded to each other's point of view and differences of opinion. Number 2, respect. Respect and admiration. They have to respect who you are, and you have to respect who they are. Being thoughtful and supportive, having mutual support and balance, not trying to change the other person, not making fun, no ridiculing, no demeaning comments, even if jokingly. Words can hurt. So it's very important to be respectful and to be kind to each other every single day. A healthy relationship means working together, not as a monarchy or a dictatorship, but as a team. This will help have no fights, only conversations. And be open to hearing what the other person has to say. Try to see it from the other person's point of view, understanding where they're coming from. You don't necessarily have to agree. Look for the meaning behind the words. Remember that there is no love without respect. And number 3, you have to be able to have the freedom to be who you are, being comfortable being yourself around the other person without having to fit yourself into a mold to please the other. No walking on eggshells or being afraid to say or do what you want to do. So when you fall in love, if you plan to have a long-term relationship with this person, take your time to learn about what the signs are and take time to learn about them. Take off the emotional glasses and be objective. Listen to what your friends and family have to say. They may be seeing things that you don't, so don't dismiss their concerns. Chances are that they can see more clearly than you. Never rush into any commitment, and if something doesn't feel right, don't dismiss it. Pay attention to it. Address it. And lastly, when in doubt, seek professional support. I like to leave you with a quote by Stephen Chbosky. We accept love we think we deserve.